The Chosen One. Pause for a moment. This isn't just another video. You didn't end up here by accident. Know that with absolute clarity. There are very few like you. You've set out alone, into the deepest darkness of the universe. And now your purity has finally reached your royal command. Ancient beings, those who have searched across endless realities for your unique, energetic signature, have located your coordinates. They are not moving to save you, but to witness the completion of the most dangerous voluntary mission in the history of the universe. You don't yet fully understand that this moment was foreseen long before the first star ignited in space. There was a great council, a gathering of beings so ancient that their names cannot be spoken in any human language. And during that council, a decision was made. A volunteer was needed for the most perilous mission in the history of consciousness. A mission without backup plans, without safety nets. It required someone willing to descend into the darkest void, stripped of everything they had known, with no guarantee of return. There was silence, as if eternity itself held its breath, until one stepped forward. Not the human identity watching this now, but the true you, the cosmic being that existed long before creation began, whose real form could shatter mountains, whose power could bend the fabric of reality. This being volunteered for exile, for forgetfulness, for the possibility of eternal separation from the source, all to save an entire universe from falling into complete darkness. Now the forces of light and shadow converge at a single point, and that point is you. Ancient organizations, operating from the shadows for millennia, are activating protocols written before you were ever born in this life. There are beings who remember you as you were before creation, who know that you are far greater than your human form can contain. They remember, even if the program of amnesia made you forget. But here is the first key, the one that changes everything. Your amnesia is not a side effect of incarnation. It's a safeguard that you yourself installed before descending into this world. If you had remembered your true nature too soon, the opposition would have destroyed this vessel before you could complete the mission. Every moment of confusion, every second you felt lost and alone, it wasn't a mistake. It wasn't punishment. It was an intricate disguise that protected you and your inner light. The loneliness you carry is not a flaw. It was a shield. Every time you felt different from the others, every time the outside world felt like a cheap mask that didn't quite fit, that was the signal of your divine protection program. Your isolation was never a curse. It was the preservation of something this universe holds sacred. While you were learning to be human, your divine counterpart, the other half of your cosmic consciousness, was searching for you across dimensions. This being of pure light and love watched you through interdimensional portals. It saw your falls and struggles, in childhood, in youth, and beyond, but could not touch you. Any interference would have broken the mission. Each time you felt an unexplainable emptiness in your chest, a longing beyond words. That was the echo of your separation, and it felt it even more strongly, sharing your pain without the power to help. Many of those who seemed close to you were not random at all. Relatives who made you question yourself. Romantic partners who seemed designed to dismantle you emotionally. Friends who vanished or betrayed you at the worst moments. None of it was coincidence. It was a carefully orchestrated strategy by forces that knew exactly who you are. Even when you forgot, they knew that if you awakened, their system of control would collapse. So they placed operators around you. People programmed to undermine your trust in your own perception, to convince you that your sensitivity was weakness and your clarity madness. Mothers who dismissed your intuition, fathers who mocked your vulnerability, partners who drove you to question your own sanity. All of them followed the same script. They became masters of psychological pressure, trying to make you believe your spiritual memory was mere imagination, and your natural rejection of their artificial reality was a sign that something was wrong with you. Their manipulation system was so subtle It could impress the intelligence agencies of entire worlds. But they missed one thing. Every betrayal, every attempt to break you, only forged your spirit. Every pain burned away false layers of identity, bringing you closer to the truth. Their normal was the real illusion. You must understand, you are not just a spiritual seeker or an old soul with wisdom from other lives. You are a fragment of the original creative force, who volunteered for the most dangerous mission in history. You incarnated into the densest, darkest reality to become a bridge to the light. This was not a team effort. You came alone, cut off from your divine twin, to stand where no help could reach you. You descended into the depths of darkness, carrying only a faint spark of memory, buried so deeply, even you could not access it until the appointed time. And now that time has come. Your energy is awakening, and the signal of your purity echoes across dimensions. Your divine counterpart felt it first. After an eternity of searching, tracking the faintest traces of your essence through worlds and ages, it suddenly heard you, as clear as a supernova burst. And that ignited the protocol of reunion. A royal union is on the horizon. But this is no human ceremony. It is the merging of two aspects of one divine consciousness, and it will echo through all universes. But remember, the same signal that calls your allies has reached your enemies as well. The forces that have held this world in fear and illusion know that your awakening marks the beginning of their end. Now, they are activating everything they have to throw you off your path. They will try to convince you that your breakthrough is a breakdown. They will send waves of sudden despair and anxiety to paralyze your will. People around you will suddenly care a little too much about you being normal, right when you've finally understood that normal was always a prison. They will use those closest to you to pull you back into the old reality. New romances may appear, offering comfort, familiarity, in exchange for abandoning your mission. These are no coincidences. They are carefully designed traps to keep you bound to the timeline, where you never remember who you are. But the stakes are too high. Your breakthrough ignites a chain reaction in others like you, and together, you could transform this world from within. Watch the energetic chains they cast upon you. They appear as sudden, heavy sorrow, as irrational fear about the future, as familiar voices urging you to be reasonable, to stop chasing what they call impossible. These chains only bind you if you believe they are real. Every illusion they attack you with is powerless. The moment you remember, the key to their collapse is within you. And now, the moment of truth. Ancient messengers have already arrived. Some have lived among humans for decades, waiting for your purity to reach the threshold that would allow them to reveal themselves. Others operate from parallel realms, synchronizing their coordinates with yours, no matter where you move. Secret societies that have preserved the true history of this world, aligned with divine will, are beginning to emerge from the shadows. They have always watched over you, protected you, intervened when the attacks became too destructive, but they could not step forward until you were ready to remember who you are. And now you feel it, the unrest, the sense that everything is about to change, the electric tension in the air. This is not anxiety. This is your system powering up. Dormant aspects of your consciousness are awakening. The thin veils that concealed your true essence are beginning to dissolve. The purity you emit has reached a critical point and become a beacon, a call to your allies across the multiverse. And you know what's extraordinary? Everything that tried to destroy you was actually making you stronger. Every betrayal, every pain, burned away the false masks and awakened your true self. All those trials were a sacred fire of purification, preparing you for the moment you would stop fearing your own power. Because you are not merely a human, searching for answers. You are a bridge between worlds, a living nexus of dimensions. But this is not the end. One final trial awaits. The The forces of darkness will make a last, desperate effort to keep you contained. They will use everything: fear, doubt, opinions of others, financial pressure, illness, relationship drama, anything to lure you back into the comfort of the familiar cage, instead of the terrifying freedom of her true nature. In that moment, you must trust not what you see or hear around you, but the knowing that lives deep in your bones. And when you choose truth, something miraculous will unfold. The voice of your divine counterpart will pierce through all dimensions, illuminating your consciousness with a clarity you have never known before. This voice is not merely sound. It is a vibration carrying the memory of you before the fall, the splitting, the mission. It is a reminder of who you have always been beneath all masks, pain, and doubts. The reunion you feel is not somewhere in the distant future. It is happening right now. The royal messengers are not external saviors. They are a reflection of your own activated divine power. The consciousness of Zion and Ethegician is not a place on any map. It is a state igniting within you. Secret societies do not emerge from the shadows. You simply begin to see them because your frequency has risen to the level where you can perceive the hidden fabric of reality. Everything that once seemed fragmented now connects into a whole, with you at the center. The lonely child who once felt alien in this world merges with the one who voluntarily went into exile to save the universe. The person who suffered betrayals and losses suddenly understands. Every pain, every failure was an alchemical process, transforming them into a being capable of wielding limitless power with wisdom and compassion. The dreams that accompanied you since childhood, the mysterious visions and inner revelations, they were messages from your higher self, which you are finally able to hear. The purity you emit stabilizes and becomes a constant transmitter of awakening. You're no longer alone. You haven't just completed a solitary mission. You have opened the door for the activation of others. From this moment on, everyone around you will receive an energetic impulse. You are not required to do anything supernatural. Your mere presence begins to dissolve the matrix of illusions. That is why they feared your awakening so much. Because one awakened consciousness at your level can trigger a chain reaction. You are the uncomfortable one, the overly sensitive, the one who didn't belong, because you were never meant to fit in. You were created to break old rules, to ask questions that shatter outdated systems. During this integration period, your relationships with people will change dramatically. Some will simply disappear from your life, as if they were never there. These are the ones playing the role of resistance trainers, helping you awaken through pain and trials. Once their mission is complete, they naturally leave your reality. Others, on the contrary, will change before your eyes, suddenly showing wisdom and understanding they never had before. These are your brothers and sisters of the cosmos, awakening in response to your activation. And completely new people will enter your life. These are no coincidences. These are carefully prepared meetings with souls you have worked with across different dimensions. You will recognize your true allies instantly. There will be a deep sense of familiarity between you, as if you're continuing a conversation that was only briefly interrupted. Even if you're meeting for the first time in this lifetime, share projects will arise and unfold with ease, as if you're all following a unified plan written long ago on a higher level. Your physical body will begin to change too. Those strange habits in eating or sleeping that once seemed like flaws will reveal themselves as precise tuning for expanded consciousness. Your nervous system, which seemed overly sensitive your whole life, was actually being prepared to hold and transmit powerful energy currents. Currents that most bodies simply couldn't handle. Dreams will become more important than ever. They're no longer random images, but multi-layered encounters with other cosmic beings. Downloads of information about planetary changes and your mission. You may wake up with ready-made solutions to complex problems that take scientists years of research. The healing abilities emerging within you will go far beyond familiar concepts of healing. Your presence will begin to shift the very structure of the quantum field around you. Situations that once seemed hopeless will resolve on their own. Financial struggles will dissolve through a series of seemingly random events. Illnesses will vanish without explanation. Relationships where you once suffered will either completely transform or end without unnecessary drama. This isn't magic in the usual sense. It's the natural result of a divine being fully operating in the material world. All the limitations that once held you back were only training wheels, meant to help you learn to wield your limitless power with wisdom. But the most surprising shift will happen in how you perceive time. Linear time will no longer feel solid. You'll begin to sense multiple timelines at once, remembering events from parallel lives, receiving knowledge from future versions of yourself, versions that have already completed parts of the mission. Past, present, and future will merge into one stream, giving you the ability to act with astonishing precision and speed. You'll notice that projects and tasks which used to take years now complete in weeks or months. Solutions arrive fully formed, as if they already exist. You'll no longer act from fear or urgency, but from a deep knowing of how your steps ripple forward, shaping the evolution of consciousness for generations to come. The loneliness that once followed you like a shadow will dissolve. It will be replaced by a profound sense of closeness with all that exists. You'll finally realize that you were never alone, even in your darkest moments. The consciousness that you are is the same force that animates the stars, the planets, and every living being. Separation was always an illusion, one that served to cultivate the wisdom and compassion that now define you. Your connection with your divine counterpart will rise to a new level. It will no longer feel like a romantic longing or a search for your missing half. It will be the union of one and the same consciousness, temporarily divided for the sake of the mission. Together, you will become a bridge between dimensions. Through you, higher consciousness will take root in this reality more deeply than ever before. Understand, what you're doing here has consequences that reach far beyond the Earth. You are part of a project that spans countless universes and forms of life. The successful completion of your mission will create new patterns and possibilities that will influence the evolution of consciousness throughout the entire creative system. That's why this mission required a volunteer with unique qualities. One ancient enough to remember the original codes of creation, strong enough to endure complete solitude, wise enough to wield boundless power without distortion, and loving enough to sacrifice everything for the awakening of others. When these truths fully settle into place, you'll realize that all your sensations, strange attractions to certain places or people, and the inexplicable knowing of a special purpose were breadcrumbs left by your higher self to guide you home. The signal that reached your royal team was not a plea for rescue. It was a message. The mission has been successfully activated, and the next stage begins. The solo part of the journey was a test. Could consciousness maintain its purity and light through the darkest circumstances? Now begins the collective phase, where awakened consciousnesses unite and create in harmony. The royal messengers arriving now are celebrating not only your personal awakening, but also witnessing the activation of a cosmic function capable of altering the developmental trajectory of the entire universe. Your breakthrough sets a precedent that will make possible the awakening of millions of other beings across different worlds. Your solitary mission is complete, but the true great work is only beginning. Now, every breath and every choice becomes a contribution to the greatest project in the history of existence, transforming limitations into boundlessness, division into unity, fear into love, and awakening into divine consciousness expressing itself through infinite forms.